Good morning, and welcome to my little show, Who Am I? A show where we just, I have no agenda. I used to say I had an agenda. My agenda was, we need to get off fossil fuels, and humanity needs to know who they are. Well, I don't really have any agenda anymore. My agenda is to better understand my own universe so that I can live a better life. If it shakes out, that it works out better for the whole, great. And as a matter of fact, that's what you want. You want to be following your own path in such a way so that you turn out to be a winner, and in your winning, you help the world be a better place. Wouldn't that be the goal, the greatest goal? Isn't that what we're all looking for? Now, I realize in this day and age, everybody doesn't listen to the whole damn hour and a half, 2-hour show. It's a long show. Very ambitious that I would even start such a thing. Who am I, anyway? And nobody cares about me. Although that's not true. That's not true. Who am I? I ask this question in all sincerity every day of my life. And I feel differently, different days. You will. We all do. I'm not trying to prove anything. If somebody finds this show and does not like it, just don't watch it. I'm not pushing myself on anybody. I don't want my viewpoint to supersede your own. I only want you to add me into what you've already got going on, and then from your own position, call your shots. Perhaps the comments I've been getting, 99% positive. So beautiful. I feel kind of like Frasier. You know that episode where there's the whatever you call that group that is reviewing his show, and everybody loves him except the one guy that plays Monk, whatever his name is. That's the guy who plays him, and he just doesn't like Frasier, and Frasier cannot let it go. He can't let it go. He can't rest on the 11 that love him. He has to poke at the one that doesn't like him until he finally burns his newsstand down and, whatever. So, if you listened to me yesterday, and there was only 6 people that did, so that's not a lot of people. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to myself. And if you're interested, you tune in. And I have interesting things to say. I've got insights. I've got ways that I'm working on dealing with my own little life and how I work with my relationships, how I assess which direction to go. We're retired, so I'm not in exactly the same position as some people. I'm not a young person out there hitting the pavement right now, trying to capitalize, trying to make my money. I'm not that person. But still, you need goals. You've got to have dreams. You got to have things that you want to accomplish, things that you want to see done, things that you want to maintain, places you want to go. I have a life. I have things that I desire, and I have a right to that. And so, in the show, I get kind of grand and I say, we need to get off fossil fuels. And we need to understand who we are so that we'll quit fighting with each other. Quit fighting with each other. What I'd really like to be is some kind of new age preacher from a spiritual pulpit, just telling us how really cool we are. Our design, the design that we have, the consciousness, its capability. Should we choose to align it with actual reality instead of the fantasies that we chase in our own tortured heads? Anyone who is running on an overly negative plane, cynical or dismissive, or I don't know, you know the type. They are pushing reality away from them, and I got a problem with that to begin with. If you're too negative to begin with, then you're on a wavelength that we aren't on the same wavelength, and no wonder you push down on the thumbs down. I don't like that. That doesn't resonate with the angry I've got going on. So, why do I even do the show? Well, I do it for myself. It's like an oral meditation. As I spend an hour and a half or so, and you know what? Maybe I'm going to clip this show down. Maybe I'll get it down to an hour. It would make it easier in my own life. And do I really need to prattle on about it for an hour and a half, 2 hours every single day? How about an hour? How does that sound like? Maybe we change the format to an hour. And if anybody is listening to me ongoing and, depending on me for their entertainment while they're driving through the woods at night or whatever, do know that I have about 145. You could start at the beginning and you could just get to know me. You might be able to extrapolate, that I have 2 children and they happen to be twins in their 30s, and I'm married to someone who used to launch rockets for and then with the Air Force, and he was an electrical engineer major. Previous marriage was an electrician. Who am I? The little bits of who am I that add together to make why I speak the way I speak. And you can take both some small information about me and then larger information about us throughout all of the discussions that I do. Who am I? What's my design? Where did I come from? Where are we going? What's the point? What's the object of the exercise? How do we know when we've won? I think that the object of the exercise is joyful sustainability, and it probably means both you individually and us collectively. How do I sustain? What is my point of joyful sustainability, where I can keep on going and I can keep on flowing and I can keep on loving and I can keep on doing and I can keep on being? You know what I mean? Being in my physical body. What are the 5 things you need? Actually, it's 7 things you need. This comes from Bashar. The 7 things you need to physically keep going in your life. They seem obvious, but not really. You don't really think about this, and you need all 7. And this is the order in which, if you don't get them, you will cease to be. Also noting that there are possible exceptions. This is just the general rule of thumb. And the first one is air. You need air. You need water. And then the third one, oddly, is not food. You can live a little bit longer without food than you can without sleep. You'll go psychotic and, run off into the woods absolutely convinced that, whatever's chasing you or whatever. So air, water, sleep, food, shelter. And the shelter does not have to be a house. It could be any kind of conducive environment to your physical state. Some sort of shelter. In the tropics, you don't need nearly the same as what you need in, Norway or whatever. Just some sort of sheltering environment to house your personal being. And then, these are more esoteric, but they are true. If you don't get these last 2, you will freeze up and then cease to be. It may take you a while, but it will happen because you can't do without these. One is relationship, and the last one is expression. And I think that the expression aspect is what you're witnessing here. And if you happen to be someone who is interested enough to be listening to my whole show from front to back, then you are probably way more valuable to me than the beings who, just drop in for a quick moment, looking for a TikTok moment or, a dram of wisdom. I could probably cut these shows into clips of wisdom and label them, got this one on, the seven things, the seven needs to survival. And then what are the other things that Bashar talks about? The 11 aspects of joy, and I don't know what those are. There's the 5 rules that you can't change. The first one being you exist. There's nothing you can do to change that. As a matter of fact, I imagine what this means is if I committed suicide, that I'd close my physical eyes and my mind's eye would stay open and be like, oh, I'm still here. I just don't have a physical body now. But, now that I don't have a physical body, I immediately know that I am lovingly connected to all things. All non-physical beings, all of the vibrational whole of the universe. And, there's stuff that you don't want to go into. There's bad stuff out there. Wicked, even you might call it. It's because it's dreadfully, dreadfully out of alignment and in places where the inner being is not guiding it. And so it can get to all kinds of realms of ugly. And you just got to remember that and be kinder and more forgiving of those who are not kind and forgiving. Understand that the problem really is that they are not in alignment with their inner vibrational knowing, that aspect of themselves that is attached to all things. I talk about the same thing every day, so maybe that's how come I don't have that many people who follow me, because I'm boring. Am I boring? I don't know. I think I'm talking about the way actual reality comes actually into being, and I can't think of anything that's more interesting than that, because it's the very stuff of everything. How are you getting what you're getting? How come are you walking into situations where you end up fighting people, or people are jerks to you, or how is it that, I don't know, what kind of questions do people have? Why is it when I try to start businesses and nothing ever works? I don't know. Is that a question? What are the failures that people have? And what questions do they have about the failures that they have? I'd kind of like to know that. At some point, I did want to do a live show where I had people asking me questions. And then I could try to honestly answer them from a position that is both me, small me, but sort of me, small me in a place where we're not pushing back. We're not in a place of resistance. Abraham does it where she's just not in a state of resistance. But she doesn't have trolls in her audience. There aren't ugly, angry people. Although there have been doubting Thomases for sure, and when they talked about drinking the Kool-Aid and having this perhaps being part of a cult, and he was serious, and the whole audience laughed, and then he felt a lot better because he realized that the audience knew that this was not a cult. I am not a cult. Whatever it is I'm talking about, I am not trying to start a cult. I do not belong to a cult. I belong to nothing. Like I said yesterday, I think I said it yesterday, the only organization I belong to is I belong to a bowling league. Other than that, there really is no overt organizational force within my life, although I can feel this underlying urge of mine to organize with the field around me. And I'm translating it into, a discussion about our nature, who we are. I've added many gurus that they're just people. They're people who have in different ways gotten in touch with this field of information that we all have access to. And so all I'm saying is we are really, really cool because we are all special. Every single one of us is a different, particular kind of receiver to a vast well of information that you can use to then vibrate in resonance with and be your most authentic self. Be your most blessed self, your most harmonious and synergistic self with the field around you. I know some people probably they're so jaded. I don't know what the rest of the world is thinking about or doing, and it's not my job to worry about that. Maybe I'm coming in Johnny come lately and everybody listens to me and goes, "Well, this is just so yesterday." But I don't know. I don't hear people saying this exactly, that it's how you're focusing and what you're paying attention to. That's what's coming to life around you. It really is. And but it's in a very fine-grained way, and you might not be catching it because you're focusing on the matter. You're focusing on the forms around you because you, like everybody else in this day and age, have been taught that the material world is the primary thing, the primary reality. It may not be the primary whatever, but it is the primary reality is what we are taught. I think that what I'm trying to say is it's not the primary reality, although it is real. It's like a secondary effect of the primary reality, which is vibrational somehow. And your equipment, your emotions, your thoughts, your very being is feeling these vibrations, and your emotions get them first. Your emotions and your imagination are translating things into... I got this one from Bashar. I'm going to stop that thought. I'm jumping to another one that's related. Bashar says, and I get what he means when you... And I don't follow Bashar. I don't follow anybody. I listen to wisdom when I hear it. And I can recognize bunk when I hear it. You can feel the thread of wisdom, and you can feel the thread of either ego-driven, narcissistic, greedy, or selfishly motivated, selfish but not selfishly and intertwined with the greater good of the field, because selfish that way is okay. It's okay if I win, as long as I'm not making everybody else around me lose as I win and take it all, or say that you're wrong. I'm not saying that anybody's wrong. I'm not pushing back against anybody, actually. I am trying to confirm you wherever you are. Wherever you are is exactly where you should be. That's why you're there. And the trick is trying to grasp that point of view and then move from where you are into more productive spaces. More into the spaces of where you want to be as you understand more clearly who you are. Now, I know I say a lot of grand sounding things, and you know what? I'm not going to apologize for it. People who do not... it's so hard not to go look at people's opinions, especially when, just like in Fraser's... what kind of group was that? The group that was evaluating him? It's hard not to focus on the one that didn't like you. And isn't it funny that they did a whole show? I love Fraser. There are so many life things, quotable moments from Fraser. And so I probably just turned off a whole lot of people who just hate Fraser because he lives in his tighty-whitey little world. But it's just soothing. It's a place where great consequences don't really happen for momentous things. Apparently, there's a whole cult of people out there, thousands and thousands and thousands of people who sleep listening to Frasier. They go to sleep. There's a cadence about it. And there's no loud moments. There's a couple of places where loud, all of a sudden things happen. There's a place where Martin's hot and foamy explodes. And it makes a loud sound. Apparently that's one of the waking moments. But for the most part, the cadence of the show, and then the at the beginning and the end, the tossed salads at the end, and then the do is all the intro, and it's a little bit different every season and for different shows. But anyway, I digress. Who am I? Why do we talk about it? Because through a better understanding of our personal nature, our emotions, our configuration to the field, and just who we are, we will be more peaceful, more tolerant beings to one another unto this world. That is my greatest hope. I hope to serve in this manner. These recordings might survive my death. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. And when it happens, it might be that my wisdom lives on. And people who think I'm creepy today go, wow, you know what? She really was talking about something. Thoughts, Thoughts really do turn to things. And what you focus on and how you focus on it really does matter. Whatever project you've got going on, whether you are making a football team come together, or whether you are opening up a new bar, or whether you are so many different kinds of things, projects that different people have in their mind that they want to undergo because they want to make money, because they have to make money, because we're all expected to monetize, to capitalize somehow, to produce something for the greater good, for the supply chain of humanity. That's what I call it. And you know what? Those I don't mean to say it that way. Those of us who are in alignment are more powerful than millions of you all who are not. No, I do not mean to say it that way, because honestly, this alignment thing, Abraham is right about this. When Abraham's right about everything, it's just how you take it. Everybody's right, actually. And so I'm not following Abraham but she's really clear about some things. Other people, they're right, and where they're right is less clear. It's less easy for an outsider to discern exactly where that right streak really is. And then also a lot of people are not putting forth a summation of reality and how the rolling manifestation rolls, or the rules of the game, the laws of the universe. Most people are not even trying to do that. And so you have to absorb the ones who are trying to do that. If you're trying, it's like the blind men and the elephant thing that I always bring up. If the blind men are not even trying to describe the elephant, then what's the point of... then they aren't helping you figure out what the elephant means, what the description of the elephant is. Anyway, I'm so sorry. And I'm 24 minutes in, and am I speaking gobbledygook? This is a stream of consciousness discussion. And I do invoke Nassim Haramein's name because sometimes I do a fairly good job of, in very layman's terms, describing his description of the state, the shape of the universe. This Planck field, this divine matrix that we all share, that connects us all. It's like a unifying energy field that matrixes us together in a particular relationship way. That's kind of what he's describing, the 0-point energy field. He's talking about the fullness of space. He talks about spinning space-time, because the spinning of this Planck field is the only thing that we are looking at as you look at what's rolling in the material manifestation. It's space, it's this Planck field spinning. So spinning space-time, the fullness of space. He talks about, let's see, this black hole structure, that it's all black holes. Black holes all the way up and all the way down. Every proton is a black hole. Every universe is a black hole. They all obey the mathematical laws of black holes, flinging out Hawking radiation, evaporating over time. Eventually, as they throw out their Hawking radiation, a black hole proton apparently is going to last about, let's see where the, I have this in my thing. Where is it? Is it this? No, it's not this. That is not it. Is it this? No. Here we go. The black hole proton Hawking evaporation time, approximately in the neighborhood of 10 to the 35 billion years. And that's a lot of billion years. We haven't even made it to 10 to the 2 billion years yet. 10 to the 2 billion years would be 100 billion years. And as far as I know, I think this universe right now, this iteration of when it expanded from its Big Bang, from as it Hawking radiationed out from a denser universe and hit this density and went kaboom, that's our Big Bang, 14 some billion years ago. So it's not even 10 to the 2 billion years. Unfortunately, negative comments have made me start to think about what I sound like from a cynic's point of view. And it's going to make me more self-conscious. And I'm really sorry about that. I got to get back to my unconditional self, because, if people don't get what I'm saying, I don't care. That's their business. It's their life. I'm really not trying to, I'm only adding to a chorus of voices. It's not like the universe depends upon me to get this message out. And if people don't listen to me, then, all is lost. It's nothing like that. Wisdom is on the rise out there. Actually, I'm very late to the party. It's kind of funny, because I was onto this 50 years ago. I'm not a particularly young person, almost 50 years ago anyway, some of this stuff, and I could have, but now it seems like around every corner is another wise person. Have you noticed that? YouTube, they're all over the place. What I do want my audience to know, if I have anybody out there who listens to me regularly from end to end. Oh, you are my favorite people. You are the ones that I'm really talking to, by the way. If I have any of those people, hold on. If you stick around long enough to know who I am, I just want you to know, I don't have a channel where I'm selling anybody anything. I'm not selling anybody anything. I have no skin in this game other than the fact that I'm a human being on planet Earth. And I would love to see us stop killing it. The troll I had the other day, I talked about it with my family yesterday, and we laughed about it. And my daughter told me that having trolls was a rite of passage, and mazel tov, and she was proud of me. And, this is just part of being on the internet, in the 21st century. Trolls are just out there. They're part of the landscape. they're trolling, and the person, whatever their comment was, it was kind of a funny thing in a way, but it was sort of an impassioned defense of fossil fuels, an accusation of me being in some cult or other that I had never heard of, and I assure you I'm in no cult. There is no organizational force around me. Isn't that what a cult would have to be? And I'm not actually, I'm not an advocate of, the advocation of what I have is spiritual in nature. It is unconditional in nature. It has to do with what my soul cries out for and what I believe to be vibrationally possible and what I believe to be true. I believe that it is possible to have a better, really kick-ass, better energy source. And I don't mean to diss anybody's precious, precious fossil fuels. Because apparently in dissing this precious fossil fuel created from the dead beings of life over billions of years and how sacred and holy and wonderful that is. I don't mean to push against fossil fuels. They have brought us to this point. They have brought us to this energy level. But they are not sufficient to the task of the future that we are and we need to be. There is a better source out there. There is many different ideas that could help us along the way, get us to where we really need to be, which is on source energy itself. But in order to do that, we need to understand source energy itself. And from my perspective, what I see as one of the stumbling blocks to this is that the discussion of source energy is really personal to people. It's really, really personal to people. It starts talking to people's relationship to God and all of creation and all of everything. And so, of course, it's really, really personal, and it's hard to talk to people about it. But you know what? If we could get to the source of understanding source, then maybe we could plug our technologies into source energy. I believe it's possible, and I believe it's unconditionally possible. And people can, this person that didn't like me and spoke rather vocally about this, where they were coming from seemed to be in defense of fossil fuels, and then believing that the cult accusation. This is why it's hard to talk to people about something as matter of fact as how do I better plug my technologies into a power source, an egalitarian power source that doesn't destroy my ecosystem and create this artificial power, centralized power, top-down power structure that creates everything from the mega state, the political state, to world poverty. There's all kinds of things that this power structure and this energy system that we are using, problems that it's creating on planet Earth. And I think that there's a better way. That's all. I just think there's a better way. I am nobody. I am just little somebody here, but I can see things from where I am. I am not selling anything to anybody. If you don't like what I'm saying, I certainly am not twisting anybody's arm to listen. But, there's mathematics behind this. There is psychology behind this. There's spirit behind this. I'm putting really big ideas together that any one of them you could stop and argue with me about to begin with. You could argue with me about the law of attraction. But, I'm starting from a standpoint which pretty much I am in a state of allowance to all things. In a way, I'm pushing back against nothing. I am flying through non-resistant thought. I am not really attached really harshly to any specific exactness of the materiality around me. It's more kind of flexible and free form where I'm standing. And I riff about what's possible from a standpoint of my pure, non-resisted desire. My desire for freedom and clarity and abundance and joy and love and relationship and yada, 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 yada. Might seem mamby-pamby, might seem really obvious, and some people from where they're standing, when they listen to me say these things, they're like, oh shoot, it's another one of those God is love people, you know. Ooh, God is love, God is everywhere. Tell me, can I quote you on that? What does that mean? Well, understand that you are two selves. You are a self that is mostly vibrational. That's your physical self. And then you are a self that is purely vibrational. And that is your vibrational self, your inner being. And this is a purely positive state of you. And this self connects to all of the rest of everybody else and knows what we all want and how it all meets. What's the win-win position? And so that's how we play our game all the time now. And we've got a family project going on, and we're looking for the win-win position. The win-win in between ourselves as the family works to this project that we're doing together. And how we bring good value to the marketplace. And how we follow the impulses to understand how to follow the rules, to, do all the legal things right. And, because our inner being knows everything, knows where all the resistance is to your desires. And if you would just have a little more faith and trust in the universe around you, be a little less, my troll was a lot more uptight about the world than I like to be in my show. I know that what I'm talking about in this show is not necessarily in full display in the material world around me right now. Because what is the momentum of the structure the physical structure that we've been building for the last 100 years? It's been fossil fuels. It's been internal combustion engines and gasoline. And I know it employs a lot of people. And I know that this, and we're going to be using fossil fuel for a while now. You don't even have to worry about it. You don't even have to push back against me. I couldn't get us off fossil fuels tomorrow if I wanted to. And I'm not suggesting that we got off of fossil fuels in a way that is unkind or unreasonable or that everybody doesn't already want to do. I'm not suggesting that slash and burn tactics from a government position. I'm just talking about ideas. Understanding that over-unity devices are possible. Or that we should even be looking at studying how to plug into the Planck field and get our ultimate goal of plugging in directly into source energy, the energy that creates worlds, as Abraham would put it. Understanding the field structure of the universe around us and the energies, it's vibrational. As Tesla said, if you really want to understand the world around you, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And there's one more I was going to add to that. Energy, frequency, vibration, and spin. That's the fourth one I would add to it. because everything around you actually is spinning. You don't think so because it's almost spinning at exactly the same rate you are. There's just a very slight difference. Because we're all spinning together on the planet. So at that point, we're all together. But there's a slight difference in between as we're moving around the planet. But if you were standing a million miles away looking at the planet spinning around, you would not be able to tell the difference between the rate at which, the earthworm spinning on the planet and the ape or the person walking around on the planet. Anyway, I guess I just have to deal with the fact that if I am going to put myself out there, people can react to me however they want to. And I need to exercise my own advice about what I focus on. I have to practice what I preach. My goodness, that's harder. So who am I? Who am I? Who are we? Who are we as human beings on planet Earth? How did we get here? That actually is a really good question. The funny thing is I'm going to have to open up my discussion a bit, because I can't just keep saying the same thing. I do think we were genetically modified, but, I don't want to push that one anymore, because then some people are drawn to me who are I just don't know. I don't know. I'm going to pause for a second and I'm going to think about it. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to do another 20 minutes of the show, because I think I'm going to start being a little closer to an hour, just because. If anybody wants me to go back to the longer format, please leave me a comment and tell me so. If anybody wants me to go shorter and do more short ones that are more theme-oriented, I'd be more than happy to do that. Whatever anybody is most interested in, what aspect of this show anybody finds interesting, I really don't know. I've gotten some really good comments. Some really, really good comments, actually, that make me feel really good about my whole project. But I don't know where anybody else would like me to go with this. Just keep riffing, and keep living my life, and then, maybe more and more bring that into examples as we keep talking about this. I don't know. It's going to be long and slow, I don't know whether that's really all that good of an idea. Let me know. The show is rolling out different than I thought it would. I had more of an imagining of people watching it or listening to it and following it and having a clear understanding of who I was as a continuum. And instead, I think what I'm getting more of is people popping in and out and maybe never popping back in again. I'll get a show that pops 300. And then, the shows go along and there's 5 or 6, and then boom, another one goes 150, or 85 or 220, and then, intermittent with ones that have 2 or 3 watches. And I'm thinking, well, that one was a really good show I just did, and I only got 7 watches. And then this other one, somehow the way the algorithm popped, a different one hit. And then, I don't know. It's much more disjointed, is what I'm saying. I thought it would be more of a continual flow. Now I'm speaking and I'm not sure who's listening. I don't know if they're listening for 5 minutes and then winking out and going and watching cat videos, or I don't know whether I have stalkers in the making, that one person who watches my every move and is trying to figure out who I am in reality. I don't know. I have no idea. I do have one person that seems to be listening to me because they drive at night. Part of their job has them driving at night, and they like to listen to me at night. And so I got a shout out to my number one fan. Love you. I'm not even sure what your name is. I think your girlfriend's name might be Eva. Your name might be Sean. But in any case, I love you and I appreciate you. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I as a... Let's do some Abraham basics for a minute, because it is potentially possible for me to resonate with the Abraham crowd as they realize that I have taken Esther into myself, and I largely understand the points that she tells us about. Now, the stuff that she has access to from her particular point of Abraham, I don't have access to that. I can't do the kinds of things that she does. I don't know how she figures that it's 16 seconds of momentum before the universe hands you another thought, just like the one that you had before. But I do believe her. I recognize in my own experience that what she says pans out a lot. So I believe what she says about the inner being and us being vibrational beings in a vibrational universe. And when we ask, Source answers. That one was a really big one for me. A really big one for me, as I realized, you know what? We're getting answers to our cries for help in this world. But we have to go find the answers. We're being given the answer, but the answer comes vibrationally. And the spirit vibration that it comes on is a spirit of optimism, hope, allowing an answer to be there. If you don't allow an answer to be there, if you keep disavowing by your, negativity, the world is shit, who are you, that kind of attitude, you'll never find the answer that is love and peace and connection and all that, which sounds mamby-pamby, and I'm really sorry. But it also mathematically checks out. All of this stuff mathematically checks out. It checks out through psychology, mathematics, law of attraction, physics. If you line your physical mind up with what your greater mind knows, Einstein said something about this, and I should go find this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pause for just a second while I pull this quote together about how he was talking about the servant and the master. I think it was Einstein who... I'm going to go find this quote. I will be right back. So I found the quote, and it is even more perfect than I imagined. This is it. Einstein says this: "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." And so if you take your rational mind as being the servant to the master, which is the greater intuitive mind, he's calling it the intuitive mind, I would call it source mind. It's the same thing. We are not talking about different things. That's what he means by this. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Absolutely perfect. I should make a clip of that one and put it in the OBS studio as a background for... Now, anyway, who am I? I got another great quote, the one I love and I do this fairly frequently. So if you are a fan of the show, you will know this quote too. The one about Milton Mayer. When all of the Third Reich, all of the people in Germany, they had their eyes focused on the forms. And right out from under them, the spirit changed, and they never noticed because they were focused on the forms. Well, this is a very big lesson to us all. Don't keep your eyes on the form, keep it on the spirit. The spirit of we are all in this together. The spirit of the win-win position. Just kind of pull back to the general a bit and just find a place where you can, in clarity, desire what you desire. Freedom, beauty, joy, love, relationship, abundance, comfort. And then holding those vibrations, go find where that resonates in the world. Let's see the quote from Milton Mayer. The world you live in, your nation, your people, is not the world you were born in at all. The forms are all there, all untouched, all reassuring. The houses, the shops, the jobs, the meal times, the visits, the concerts, the cinema, the holidays. But the spirit, which you never noticed because you made the lifelong mistake of identifying it with the forms, is changed. Now you live in a world of hate and fear, and the people who hate and fear do not even know it themselves. And we got to watch out for this, because this is actually a pattern that is going to want to repeat. Now, this is not the same world as it was 100 years ago, and we have been madly changing things around us. And I have every faith that we are not going to devolve into as bad as it got last century. But you know what? It would behoove us to know who we are. Let's see, where am I? 51 minutes. I'm going to make it to an hour, and then I'm going to stop. Another reason I only want to go an hour is it's quite a bit later than it usually is for me. Usually I do this in the dark of the early morning, and so it's easier for me to be unconditional because I'm like half asleep. The world is dark. Nothing's woken up yet. It's almost not real. It's very easy to be unconditional. You know, doesn't even feel real to me. Now it's almost 9 o'clock in the morning, and here I am talking about who am I? Who am I? Where shall I leave it today? Well, the Abraham view, I was going to talk about that some more, so I'm just going to talk about that some more. The laws of the universe. The first one, law of attraction, according to, from this angle, that which is like unto itself is drawn, which means things that resonate, things that are vibrating on the same frequency are going to resonate with one another. And they're going to start adding to one another. They're going to start pulling together. And this particularly happens with human emotion. If you start being angry and aggrieved about things, blameful and whatever, you go out into the world and you're going to start resonating with people who feel exactly the same way. You're going to start joining clubs, you're going to start joining groups, you're going to start getting together and talking about the things you're mad about, you know, that sort of thing. Because that which is like unto itself is drawn. Not only that, it's like whatever bandwidth you're on, it's like that's the only bandwidth going on out there in the world that you have access to now. And people who are operating on higher frequencies, doing more connected, more divinely aligned activities. I'm getting lost. Who am I? I hope this one doesn't go viral. I hope the last couple of them don't go viral, but I do feel like I need to come in every day and keep doing the show. It is for me. I said to my world, myself and the world, from the beginning that I was doing this for me and just kind of letting the world in to have a peek into my mind. It's kind of a vulnerable thing to do. And mostly people like what I have done. And then there's that one guy that just... I've had a few thumbs down too. That also bothers me. But because I am both selves. I am a human being. And I do have feelings. But then I have to go back into my laboratory and I have to do the mathematics. I have to make the calculations about what really matters, where I'm going to focus, how I feel as I focus in any particular direction, tells me whether I'm going forward or whether I've gotten myself turned around and I'm going backwards. If I'm flowing backwards, I need to stop and ponder reality for a bit. I'm a big proponent of when you are in a state of negative emotions, sit on your hands and don't act from that state. You won't be proud of the work you do when you're in a state of negative emotion. I find an amusing, for instance, is Carrie Underwood's song, Before He Cheats. Is that the name of the song? Where she talks about what she does to his car, his little truck, after he cheats on her. Well, she carves her own name into his leather seats. She probably shouldn't have done that because that's probably good evidence that he can hand over to the police and she can get in terrible trouble. When she felt that way about what he did, she probably should not have done that. She should have sat on her hands and thought about it before she took a Louisville Slugger to... But I understand the sentiment. I do understand feeling that way. When we have our thoughts, when we get into a state of negative emotion, and I am just like anybody else. I am just like anybody else. Who am I? I need to understand my own equipment so that I know how to make my move on the material world. Well, this is how you do it. When you feel good about things, when you feel optimistic about something and you've got a good idea, you're going to try something out, go for it. Do it. And then you'll probably have to stop and rethink and adjust and stop and rethink and go for it again and stop and rethink and then go for it again and then stop and rethink and then go for it again. But keep going forward. Keep pushing forward. But don't push forward when you feel bad. When you feel bad, disconnect. Do something to make yourself feel better. Have a snack. Put your feet in the water, your toes in the sand. Take a nap. Kiss your girlfriend. Pet your cat. Gaze lovingly at your child. If you do not feel good, do not cast your gaze upon the things that you care about. When you are in a state of negative emotion, withdraw your gaze from that which you care about, because you're only going to mess it up. You're only going to mess it up. If you're feeling bad, you're only going to mess what you care about up. So don't put your mind on what you care about. And this is the funny thing. When people care about money, for instance, they care about it so much. And they don't have any money. And so every time they think about it, then they get into an immediate state of negative emotion. And now they can't think about it. So you got to withdraw. Think about anything else. Your inner being knows what you care about, knows that you want to survive, knows that you want satisfying experiences, knows that you want to take care of yourself. Allow yourself to be okay with yourself and the world, even if something's knocking on your door harsh. Find a way to focus around it. Don't pay any attention to it. The things that are, it's funny. You ask yourself, how do I describe this in a way where people will not take me wrong? Well, it's almost impossible to describe anything in a way that nobody's going to take you wrong. Everybody's going to take you wrong. But I have left a body of work. There's like 150 episodes of this show behind me that you can watch. You could start at the beginning. As a matter of fact, my favorite person out there, whatever your name actually is, if I don't post on a day and you find yourself driving through the woods at night and you want to listen to more, there's a never-ending stream of it. There, you could start at the beginning. My first episode I posted back in January, and admittedly, at first, my words didn't flow quite as well, and you might get a little bit bored. You might. I don't know. I haven't really listened to it all. I tried not to blurt out any state secrets or my social security number or, anything like that. And most of the time I remember to not even say my name because this is not an ego project. I don't mean it to be an ego project. This is just me expressing myself. This is me doing the number 7 thing I need to do to survive. I am expressing myself. And at the very least, I'm listening. I'm listening as I say it. I don't go back and re-listen, but anyway, who am I? Who am I? Let's get off fossil fuel. Let's know who we are. Let's understand our negative emotions and not fall into them. Now, I realize most people have stopped listening now because most people don't listen to the whole hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm an hour and 1 minute in, so I think I'm going to end. Tomorrow I'll be back, maybe I won't. But if you want to listen to more of me, go back into the past. I've got so much material, and it's all trying to say the same thing. It's trying to draw a line between, well, we talk about law of attraction. We talk about the configuration of the inner being and the spinning vortex of creation and all of that sort of thing, and how it relates to the mathematics of Nassim Haramein and his unified physics, and how that's going to lead us to getting off of fossil fuels, plugging our technologies directly into source energy, free, clean energy for everyone, everywhere. I do realize that's going to open up a can of worms, and our conquering of gravity is going to do the same thing. But I believe that that is also what is in our future, in our vibrational vortex. In the mathematics, it's all there. Source energy, the divine matrix. And who am I in all of this? So we'll be back tomorrow or the next day or whenever. And if you need more of me, there's plenty more in the can already. Love you much. And I will talk to you later. And until then, may the source be ever, ever consciously, intentionally with you.